I love the man that can smile in trouble, that can gather strength from distress, and grow brave by reflection. 'Tis the business of little minds to shrink, but he whose heart is firm and whose conscience approves his conduct will pursue his principles unto death. Thomas Paine, founding father, political activist, philosopher, political theorist, and revolutionary. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Liberty Dad podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much for tuning in so early. So today we are going to give a little tribute to a man named Marcus Reeder. If you're not from Florida, then you may not know who he is. Marcus Reeder was the former vice chair for our Libertarian Party, the affiliate here locally in Jacksonville. Very active member, and he recently passed away. So let me tell you how this episode's going to go. First and foremost, I want to say I had intended to dig up. So I used to do this dad talk episode, or yeah, it's like a weekly dad talk where I'd bring dads on. We just talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. And Marcus and his son joined me in studio. We got together and we did an episode of Dad Talk all together. And unfortunately, I had brand new equipment at the time and I hadn't quite really learned how to set things up properly. So we recorded this whole episode. And then later after the fact, I realized that the audio had just been annihilated. It was just really messed up. And so I talked to him and I was like, hey man, we're gonna have to re-record this. I was like, it didn't work. And the intention, so Marcus had been diagnosed with leukemia and went into chemotherapy. And then unfortunately he passed away. And when I talked to him about it, he said, well, when I get back, we'll do it again. And I was like, all right, cool. So, and normally I do not discard videos. And somehow I either lost it or discarded it. I did have some equipment changes. So I'm not really sure. So anyway, I actually do have a video that I will play here shortly of him. So today's format is I'm first going to read the tribute that the Libertarian Party of Florida wrote up for him. Then after that, I will play a couple of video clips of him at City Council. One of Marcus's favorite things to do was to go and harass City Council. And I mean, there's probably like 10 videos of him at least going out to City Council and giving him hell. I'm going to play two just so that you get an idea of, the kind of things that he said. There was one particular video that I would have liked to have grabbed, but I don't know the date that he said it. But there was an issue with city council kind of giving people grief. So a lot of people would come into city council and they would be like, this is bullshit, blah blah blah, and they would get in trouble. And city council would be like, look, um, you need to speak proper and all this stuff. So in protest of that, he called them, if I recall correctly, um, mother humping goat lovers, in protest again of the fact that they were shutting people down who were coming in and giving, their passionate voices about an issue. And it just sometimes happened to include some profanity. So, and I supported him in that, because from our perspective, your city council and you need to hear the people. And sometimes you need to hear the people in their rawest form. And if you can't handle that, maybe you don't need that job, right? Just saying. So he went and he protested that, and I wish I'd had that, but I've got some other good clips where he goes, and if you are a libertarian, then I think you will enjoy his, what he had to say to city council. They're not necessarily fiery, but one of the things that we pride ourselves on in the libertarian community is that we speak our mind without reservation. In other words, we don't shy away from our principles. If we believe that taxation is theft, then we say taxation is theft, right? And then we go on to make our point. But we don't. We know we're radical. We know that we have some wild things that people are like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what?" And it's a matter of pride that we don't shy away from that. So first I'm going to read the tribute that the LPF wrote about him. Then I'm going to play those two videos, and they're going to be followed by a never before aired video of him talking about composting, because Marcus enjoyed composting and he actually gave a talk at our affiliate about it. And I think he ties it into the liberty movement. So I think it would be worthwhile. And it's only like 20 minutes. So, and but I wanted to do my best to provide some stuff that hasn't really been seen a whole lot from Marcus. Then after all of that, there's about 10 or 15 pictures that I could dig up that were decent pictures, and we'll just play those pictures and then close the show. So there won't be your typical closing today. I'm just gonna go right into everything. And in fact, after I read the tribute, you won't see me again, right? Like, because it'll just be videos and photos of Marcus, and then we'll close the show. So I just want to let you know we're going to do things a little bit out of the ordinary, because uh, I'm trying to do a tribute. So just so you know, and you're not like weirded out, like, whoa, what happened here? It's not like the normal format. This is very much on purpose. So let's get into it. Let's read, and the tribute to Marcus is in the show notes if you want to go and check it out yourself. So please go ahead and do that. Uh, LPF did a good job. So this was written by Lisa Gansky, and this is actually published just yesterday. So it says in memoriam, Marcus Andrew Reeder, April 15th, 1973 to March 13th, 2024. All right, let's get down here. The Libertarian Party of Florida deeply regrets announcing the passing of Marcus Reeder, a stalwart advocate for liberty and an esteemed leader in our state. As the vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Duval County, Reeder's influential role was pivotal in promoting libertarian ideals. He passed away on the morning of Tuesday, March 13th, 2024, following a brave battle with leukemia. Born on April 15th, 1973, Marcus was a force of nature in the political arena, known for his dynamic activism and strategic contributions to the Libertarian Party. His fearlessness in confronting power, exemplified by his bold challenges to city council members, underscored his dedication to libertarian values. Marcus's legacy is marked by his many contributions, from campaigning alongside libertarian candidates to leading protests and engaging in news interviews. His presence was a constant at party meetings, where his propensity to stand alone in his convictions often saw him as the sole nay vote, particularly memorable in his opposition to routine motions like adjourning meetings. Despite his health challenges, Marcus's passion for the cause of liberty never waned, showcasing his strength and dedication to the end. Marcus will be fondly remembered not just as a political operative, but as a mentor and friend who enriched the lives of those around him. His ability to uplift spirits and his unwavering dedication to principled activism have left an indelible mark on the Libertarian Party of Florida and beyond. Marcus is survived by his loving wife, Kristen, and their son, Jack, who are the center of his world. So that is the tribute. Thank you so much to Lisa Gansky for writing that up. So let's get into some videos. And I will tell you the point about the objection to routine motions kind of gave Marcus this. He was a bit of a pain. Now you might be saying, DL, like how can you say that in a tribute to somebody? Well, I can say that because I know that if Marcus were here right now, or if he's looking down, he would say, I wouldn't have been a pain if you would just go to city council more often. He was always like, we need to go to city council. We need to, we need to tell them about this. We need to tell them about this. Right. So let's play some of those clips from city council and see just how he did.
Libertarians say taxation is theft, and we say it often. We say it on principle because there's always someone taxed against their will. People pay taxes because they are forced at the point of a gun, not out of choice. We also say taxation is theft because the government has a tendency to seek unnecessary expenditures, often with an effort to limit expenses. For example, agenda items 11 and 12 collectively seek $175,000 to establish projects funded by NHTSA through FDOT. NHTSA, of course, gets money from taxpayers. But read the stated purpose. Both agenda items read similarly. The Impaired Driving Enforcement Project. Funds will be used for a variety of project expenses, including overtime salaries and benefits for law enforcement officers, running lights for unmarked vehicles, and maintaining a message board. But then from the Speeding and Aggressive Driving Project, funds will be used for a variety of project expenses, including overtime salaries and benefits for law enforcement officers, and to procure radar and laser equipment. That sounds like what JRSO funding should already include. Those aren't new projects with new needs. What are current taxes going towards if not to maintain JSO and their equipment to do already existing jobs they have? You may argue it's only $175,000, a fraction of NHTSA's budget, but imagine all 67 Florida counties receiving that. That's over $11 million for new projects that read like what citizens expect already funded. Imagine the taxes citizens wouldn't have to pay if just local governments stopped asking money for things citizens already expect to be funded. 6 cents here, 6 cents there, 85,000 here, 90,000 there. It adds up. Even when spread across everyone else, the Libertarian Party will always believe taxation is theft, but at least make the argument more difficult to make.
Thank you. Marcus Reeder, Vice Chair of the Libertarian Party of Duval County. Tonight, I'm asking the council to consider not making new laws and removing laws that create victimless crimes. Libertarians have a saying, no victim, no crime. It is something that I ask the council to consider. The city has an overabundance of laws, so many, in fact, that it is not possible for the average person to know them all. Though if you break a law, the judge will let you know that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. The laws that you make or keep on the books could lead to violent encounters with the police, that could lead to someone being seriously injured or killed. By keeping victimless crimes on the books, their blood is on your hands. Remember, police don't make laws. They only enforce what you, the council, create or keep on the books. Finally, researcher Harvey Silvergate states that the average person commits 3 felonies a day. This means that each person on the council probably commits 3 felonies a day, just like all of us here in the audience. If what I've said previously does not move you to reduce the number of laws on the books, consider this. Less laws equal less laws to break, equal less crime. It equals less for police and correction officers to do, which means less money that needs to be spent on police and corrections. I thank you all tonight. Have a good evening, please.
Tonight, I stand before the racist and corrupt Jacksonville City Council. It is not me calling you all racists. It's a federal judge. You should all resign in disgrace. You are all corrupt for wanting to waive the rules of the Jacksonville City Council charter. If you waive the rules of the charter, then anyone who is elected using the waiver will be illegitimate. The council before me wants to only enrich themselves at the expense of the average citizen. Again, do not waive any part of the charter for the March elections. If you do, you will show your contempt for the average person in the city and your corruption. End your racist and corrupt ways and resign immediately. Good night.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Marcus Reeder. I'm your vice chair. Tonight, I want to talk about composting. And you're going to go, what does composting have to do with libertarian politics, right? Well, I'm going to ask you from a show of hands, who likes throwing away their money in the city dump? Nobody, right? So if you're not composting, that is effectively what you're doing, is throwing away money in the city dump. So we all hate paying taxes, but you're more than willing to throw away money into the city dump every month, every day. So also in Mandarin, I don't know if you're familiar, we're having some garbage issues, and composting is a great way to reduce the amount of garbage that you're throwing out. Just in my house alone, we went from 3 bags of trash a week to 1. It's going to save you significant amounts of space. So that's a good thing. So I brought with me tonight one of the things I use for composting, and that's called a compost tumbler. They're not expensive. Everyone worries that they're going to smell, right? Good compost doesn't smell. So let's talk about it. First off, what is compost? Huh? Not quite. So you can use vegetable peelings, vegetables that you didn't use, tea bags, coffee grounds, the coffee filter itself, shredded junk mail. You know, everyone wants to go out and shred their mail, right? Because we don't want the cyber criminals getting it, right? Well, I'm going to tell you something. You sure tear it up, throw it in your composter, and guess what? Cyber criminals aren't going in there. You can, any kind of vegetables. I throw in mine. You know, if we don't eat the loaf of bread and it goes moldy, in it goes. Think of potato chips goes bad, throw it in there. Eggshells go in there. You know, when we're in the house and, you know, we're cleaning up spills or something, as long as we don't use a chemical and we use a paper towel to wipe it up, guess what? Compost. So the only things you're not really going to put in your compost that is non-biodegradable things, plastic, metal, you know, styrofoam, those kinds of things. You're also not going to put things like meat, bones, cat or dog poop, because people have asked that before. Think, oh, great, I'll just compost it. No, the bacteria in it, in cat and dog poop is not good. So what you're going to do is, we have at our house a little jar. And every time we're doing something that we can compost, we throw it in the jar. So wife uses a roll of paper towels up. Throw it in the little jar. The toilet paper tube. Throw it in the jar. For good compost, you want to have a mix of what they call carbon and green. Okay. So for your carbon, you're talking your paper, cardboard, leaves, dead leaves, small sticks. And for green stuff, you're talking about things like the potatoes that started to grow and went bad, the onion that you didn't get to use. You're chopping up strawberries to make a strawberry pie. All the stems that went in that you were going to throw in the trash, they go in your compost. Peeling potatoes goes in there. Chopping up carrots. The carrot peels, the tops of the carrots, all that goes in your compost. You're making some eggs. Throw those eggshells right in the compost. And what you're going to do is a couple of different things. I don't know if anybody else here, but the soil at my house is really sandy. Anybody else got really sandy soil? Okay, so it's Florida. We all have it. So one of the things you can do is, if you're just looking to improve how your landscaping looks, the mulch you're putting down there does some. But I'm going to tell you, if you're putting compost and then putting mulch over it, you're going to improve it. Because this compost that you're going to make in here has more nutrients for the soil, good bacteria for the soil, and it has more of the things those plants need to grow. So your landscaping is going to look 10 times better. You can also use it growing your vegetables. I use it. I also put it down. I have a bunch of fruit trees in my front yard. I put it down around all those fruit trees, and it increases, the yields I'll get. It also improves the soil. So instead of me just having a bunch of sand, I've got actual stuff that's in the soil that these plants need to grow. And the great thing is, I'm not throwing away money with the city. A good bag of compost is going to cost you $20 to $30. Okay? You're going to save that much per month. Usually with a compost tumbler like this, it takes me about a month, once it's completely full, for the compost to be ready. For my family, because we are really aggressive composters, we have 4 composters like this set up. And I get a good bit of compost every year. I have not calculated, but every month I have a thing of compost ready to go. So I'm saving that money. And instead of throwing it away in the garbage, I'm putting it on my landscaping. I mean, because I'm really wanting to get things done right, I'm also putting some out in the soil, in the grass. It will increase how your grass looks. You want good green grass? Throw the compost on it. And I'm not saying throw it heavy, lightly. There are several different ways to compost. So compost tumbling is great if you don't have a lot of space. If you have a small patio, a compost tumbler or 2 is probably your best bet. If you have a large yard and you can donate the space to it, a 4x4 area, and you take 3 pallets, 2 sides and 1 back, and set them up on their ends so they're tall, that's a good compost area. And you can do what's called a pile compost. A lot of people like pile compost the best. You take it out, you throw all your stuff on it, and then you take your garden fork or shovel and turn it. With this compost tumbler, I just spin it and it tumbles my compost. There's also something called vermiposting. Does anyone know what that is? Okay. How many fishermen do I have here? No fishermen besides me? Vermiposting is great because vermiposting is using earthworms, to compost for you. Vermiposting is a quick way. The worms will actually break down your compostables faster and the compost tumbler. When I got one that's going slow, I'll slug a few earthworms in it, and it will speed up the process. Because even though I'm tumbling it, the earthworms are digging through and eating all that stuff. And that really makes it really fast. So the other thing is, I've already got earthworms for when I'm going to go fish. So it's kind of a double deal for me. If we're composting, we're not giving our money to the city. And that's really, to me, where it's at. You'll notice I didn't mention anything in here about how great it is for the environment, did I? I didn't mention any kind of climate change. I didn't mean carbon tax things. No. What I mentioned? It's about taking money away from the city. Yes. You asked the stupid.
How am I not giving money to the city? I'm still paying for trash.
You're still paying for trash pickup, right? Well, no. Well, I'll tell you. So.
Can you repeat the question on the mic?
Oh, yeah. Repeat it for me so I can repeat.
How am I not giving money to the city?
How are you not giving money to the city? By composting. Because you're still paying for trash pickup.
Right.
Okay. So when you go to this grocery store, right? You buy a thing of celery, right? You intend to use that whole stalk of celery, right? Can you use that whole stalk of celery?
So, I don't think it's bunch, right?
Yeah. It's your money, right? That you spent on that celery, right?
Right.
So you're going to chop the end off, right?
Right.
And you're going to chop the other ends off, right?
That's what people do with celery, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
But you're throwing it where?
Into the trash.
Into the trash, right? That you spent money to buy that portions of those celery, right?
Yes.
So you're throwing away your money that you just paid for that celery, right? You are getting some of your celery, right? But are you using all of it?
Right.
So,
So-
he's not get money from your celery.
how?
I buy the celery at 20 outside.
Right.
Well,
It's not about that. It's not about that. When you're putting it in there, you're saving it for you're saving that money for yourself into the compost because you're not throwing it away into the trash, right? You're keeping that money here at home by turning it into fertilizer.
so I think what you're trying to say is the way my trash is, I bill for my taxes. I can't call them and be like,
Right.
You get called to
I
get
can't call them and say, hey,
Correct.
you don't got to pick up this week, so I'd like a refund.
Right.
Maybe we should try that.
But what it is you're throwing money basically into the landfill. If you don't use, let's say that you have a sack of potatoes go bad because for whatever reason you didn't use those potatoes, correct? Do you like throwing that money into the landfill?
If it keeps out of my backyard. Yeah.
What if you put it in your backyard, but it's causing your plants, your landscaping to look better?
Okay. Are you saying
That's the difference.
okay? All right.
You're not throwing your money into the landfill. Because when you're throwing away trash,
But I'm still paying.
you're still paying,
Okay.
but you're not going to, but the less you need them, right? Do you want to be reliant on them? Make them obsolete.
There. Yeah. Okay. That's gonna take a much bigger scale than just my yard.
No, it takes every one of us. But here's the thing. Any of these programs that we want to do as libertarians, guess what it takes? Every one of us. Okay? This is a small, simple way you can start at home. Yeah.
So do you just leave it in there?
When it's done,
How long does it take?
about a month,
You leave it in the sun or the shade?
it's up to you, wherever you have the space. The sun will cook it faster. The shade, it doesn't matter. Okay, it'll still be done in about 4 to 6 weeks. When this one's done, the reason I have more than one is because once I fill up one, I let it compost for a month or so. And while that one's composting, I'm filling the next one up. And it does wonders. You can also get a compost tumbler that is 2-chambered. So one chamber you're filling up, and while the other one's composting. And that, yeah, it's a double barrel.
They spin together. That doesn't.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. The fact that they're both spinning at the same time.
How often do you actually go out there?
I go out once a day and spin it.
If you put earthworms in it, do you end up getting more earthworms?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There you go. There, then you can make money. Then you can make money. Basically, the big advantage is it's not just topsoil, though. Topsoil usually doesn't have much nutrient in it. This promotes good bacteria and good nutrients that otherwise you're throwing in the landfill. So I don't like throwing money away. And to me, not composting is throwing money away.
Definitely with my experience, I spend probably a lot of my time out.
Yeah.
Maybe we just Jacksonville, Duval County, we're considered in the nation one of the best when it comes to how we do our land.
Okay.
They just run a lot better than everybody else. You're actually going to see a lot more of these bigger cities getting rid of landfills and shipping their trash.
They separate the long.
But it seems like it's a bit where you actually saving money is if you give a damn about lawn.
Mhm.
It's money you're not spending it further, get all the money spent to kind of maintain it.
Right.
Instead of that's just being out there and doing how it works.
Because they don't care if you throw one bag away of trash or 10. We all should. Because if they're getting less trash, they can get less money. Because look at it this way. Let's say that you're only throwing out one bag of trash a week. Do you need weekly trash pickup for that? If the whole city is only throwing away one bag of trash a week and it's a little bit of plastic and it's just kind of plastics, do we need weekly trash pickup? Then we don't need it, because if we're throwing away less, they can come less. And if they can come less, guess what? That trash company is going to get a whole lot less money because they're not coming.
They're saying with 3 city council members,
Uh-huh.
or we could do a ballot initiative.
Uh-huh.
So people can get refunds on their taxes
Uh-huh.
if they measure the amount of compost.
Mhm. That's a great way.
So that's everything costs much more.
Okay. Any more questions on huh? Right. So any more questions on compost, what it is, what it takes? And I've gone really simple tonight, just so you know. The simplest way to start is with one of these, and they work great. I mean, I've been using the same one I've had, my first 2 were 3 years ago. I bought.
How much?
They're usually, if you're going to buy them on, like, say, Amazon or Walmart or something like that, you're going to spend $60 to $80 for a single tumbler. I always look for deals because, as I said, I'm cheap. And the first or second week of April every year, Aldi has compost tumblers like this for $40. So it's a great way to, I wait until the first of April till April every year, and I buy another compost tumbler or 2 just to have them for backup. So, but you're going to spend about $60 to $80. Now, how long will it take you to buy that back, to pay that back?
How much is a bag of fertilizer?
There you go there.
$20 for
No, if you're buying compost. No, a bag of compost. Quality compost is expensive. That's not compost. That's dirt. There's a difference between dirt and compost. Dirt has very little organic matter in it. It also has very little microbial activity. Those biological things. organic matter and the microbials contribute a lot to your lawn health and your plant health in general. So it makes a lot of sense because you're getting more. You're putting the good stuff in your soil rather than just putting more dirt down. Dirt's cheap.
Well, the Georgia dirt that I buy, it is it's a type of compost.
It's not. It's probably just leaf litter compost.
Yeah, it's just cut grass, weeds, whatever they just compost.
Right, but it's also missing a lot of other nutrients. Just so you know, because let me tell you, there's different nutrients in my lawn than there is in a tomato.
Well, you never mentioned that your lawn is not a grass.
Most of my lawn right now is still grass, but I also have a lot more. I have most of my front lawn is trees, and now one thing I will warn you about composting: occasionally you'll put down compost, and you'll get what we call volunteers, and that means that some seed got left in the compost, and now it's growing. You get a lot of tomatoes. Big deal. To me, it's big deal. I just put a cage down and let it grow wherever it goes. But that's just me. But they're easy to pick. Tomatoes are easy to pick out. They're very identifiable. But I would say if you want to save some money on fertilizer, go to composting. If you want to throw out less trash, go to composting. It'll be amazing how much you'll save. All right, I'm done. Oh, I did bring one thing. If any of you have gardens and maybe you don't grow things because you go, I've got a black thumb. I brought some of these tomatoes here. These are special tomatoes. They're called Everglades tomatoes. They are a native Florida species. So if you would like to try growing some, I will be glad to give you a tomato. It's literally squeeze the tomato out and put the seeds where you want. And they grow like a weed. And they'll get 8 feet tall. And they'll have hundreds of tomatoes. So good night. Thank you.